bonds, and all other financial instruments in the financial world. It's me, Nampija Gloria, together with
Victor Chileru.
And we are diving straight up to the stock market exchange on the Uganda Securities Exchange to see how it performed as of yesterday. It was quite an eventful day, Victor. What do you have to say about this one?
We're seeing significant movements in both volume as well as turnover. But diving straight into the numbers, we are looking at the close of yesterday's trading session, and we're seeing a total of 9,749,600 shares, and they were traded valuing to 303,864,500 Ugandan shillings.
That's quite a substantial figure, Victor, but interestingly, we saw a 52% decline in turnover and volume. What do you have to say about this one, Victor?
Well, it's not just in volume, and we are looking at a turnover as well, and it also took a hit, and we're seeing it decline all the way by 8% from the previous trading day. But now, looking at the broader picture, the Uganda Securities Exchange current market capitalization still stands at 15.9 trillion, but this has actually decreased by a few points through the past trading days, because remember, as we're closing the previous month, the total market capitalization was at 16.2, so it has dropped all the way to 15.9 trillion Ugandan shillings as we speak.
That's actually a massive figure, but to break it down further, we understand that there were 5 listed equities that participated in the trading session. So Victor, how did these ones perform?
Well, it's a mixed bag as always, and 2 gainers actually stood out. We're looking at Centum Investments, and it is actually interesting to see that they are coming up as gainers because they have spent quite a while with within the circle of inactivity. But they're coming up in the top gainers with a remarkable 3.14% increase, and that is within their share price. And we're looking at MTN Uganda as well, which is also expected due to their recent news about the release of dividends at the end of this month, and we're looking at a modest gain of up to 0.59%. But on the flip side, we have 7 losers, with KCB Bank taking the lead with a 3.09% price depreciation.
Interesting. And looking at the most actively traded stocks, we have Bank of Barada that took the lead with, in terms of volume, recording around 8.66 million traded shares. Quite an interesting figure, actually. Then we have MTN Uganda that followed with 1 million traded shares, while Stanbic Bank Uganda and National Insurance Corporation had 85,000 and 7,100 respectively.
Well, shifting our focus to the market indices, the Uganda Securities Exchange All-Share Index dropped by 3.92 points, and of course closing at 917.10. So what do these numbers tell us?
Well, the All-Share Index reflects a 1-week loss actually of around 1.48% and a 4-week loss of 1.23% and an overall year-to-date loss of 24.37%. So it's not worth actually that it has been facing some challenges throughout the year through various equities and various performances. So this quite took a hit.
Well, on the other hand, the Uganda Securities Exchange Local Company Index showed some resilience, increasing by 0.28% to reach 280.74 points. But Gloria, how does this index compare over the different time frames?
Well, looking at the Local Company Index, it reveals a 1-week loss of 0.28% and a 4-week gain of 0.82% and a year-to-date gain of 2.96%. So it seems like local companies are holding up slightly better in certain terms other than the other companies.
Well, absolutely, and actually it is already evident with the performance of MTN as we speak. But now discussing the implications of these numbers, the decline in volume as well as turnover might actually raise concerns among investors. But you as Gloria, what do you think is actually driving this trend?
Well, one could possibly be cautious approach from investors in response to the overall economic climate, actually.
Yeah, certainly.
And the market has been facing quite the headwinds recently,
Indeed.
as reflected by the negative year-to-date performance from the very index itself.
Oh yeah, the all share index actually wasn't performing within the past month. But looking at the gainers and the losers, it is actually evident that there was a mix of sectors involved. But Centum Investments and MTN Uganda's gains could be attributed to positive developments within their respective industries. And on the other hand, actually, we're looking at KCB Group's depreciation. It might be as a result of broader economic concerns.
Absolutely, Victor, and it's actually essential for our investors to closely monitor these factors and actually make informed decisions based on the evolving market dynamics.
Indeed, and that's a crucial point, Gloria. Actually, the market is really dynamic, and understanding the underlying factors is key to navigating these fluctuations. But actually, shifting our focus to some of deeper insights within the Uganda Securities Exchange as we speak. Just for context, Gloria, now that we've actually delved into the performance of these companies, it's essential to actually address some questions that investors might have. And starting with the most obvious one, what is driving changes in these stock prices?
Quite a question, Victor. Well, stock price is actually influenced by a number of multiple factors. These include the financial health of a particular company and the market sentiment, the various industry trends, economic indicators, and even geopolitical events. So, for instance, looking at Equity Bank Limited, we had a significant drop. It would be interesting, actually, to understand the reasons behind the change. I mean, do you have any insights on this one?
Well, certainly. Actually, stock prices often reflect market sentiment, and a significant price drop could be due to a range of factors. But for banks like the EBL, it actually might be influenced by shifts in interest rates and regulatory changes as well, or even shifts in the competitive landscape. But it is crucial for investors to conduct thorough research or consult with financial experts to understand the specific drivers behind such changes.
Absolutely, Victor. As we all know, research is key. Now let's discuss the volumes of the traded shares, Victor. Bank of Baroda had quite a substantial volume recently. So how could our investors actually interpret these high trading volumes like this one?
Well, high trading volumes also indicate increased market activity and interest in a particular stock. So with Bank of Baroda, this might signify that investors are actively buying and selling shares in this bank. But it could be actually influenced by factors like quarterly earning releases and news or other major market events. But investors actually often interpret high trading volumes as a sign of liquidity. But actually, it remains crucial to consider why this is actually happening.
Well, Victor, that's actually very insightful. Then moving on to the indices, we have the USE All Share Index, the Ghana Stock Exchange All Share Index, and the Local Company Index, which showed around 0.43% drop, while the Local Company Index had an increase of 0.28% drop. So what do these indices tell us about the overall market health?
Actually, that's a great question. And the all share index is actually a broader indicator of the overall market performance. So basically, a drop in the all share index is the one that we observed, and it suggests a general decline in stock prices across the entire exchange. But on the other hand, the Uganda Securities Exchange local company index actually focuses on domestic equities and their performance. But an increase in the Uganda Securities Exchange local company index, even when the all share index is down, ends up indicating that local companies actually are doing relatively better compared to the cross-listed companies.
That's actually a valuable distinction, Victor. So which is actually intriguing is that the USE local company index showed gains despite the general market drop. It could mean that the local companies are still resilient, but investors might wonder, should they consider investing more in these local equities in such circumstances?
Investors often diversify their portfolios, Gloria.
Exactly.
And I do believe it means having a mix of both local and cross-listed equities. And actually, we've been noticing that cross-listed equities have been not doing so well for the entire week.
Exactly.
And they have led to a loss of up to 2.2 trillion Ugandan shillings from investors. But it is actually good when you're going through a situation like that and your cross-listed stock is not performing, but you can turn to the local, your local stock.
Exactly.
But just to specify on diversification of portfolios, when local equities perform well, it actually might be a sign of the economy's health. But however, it is not a one-size-fits-all strategy. And investing in local equities and cross-listed companies or even asset classes should align with your investment goals and as well as a risk tolerance. So it still remains essential to have a diversified portfolio to manage your risks effectively.
Absolutely, Victor. Diversification is a key principle when it comes to managing risks or investment risks. So back to the specific companies, Victor, what should our investors actually look out for when accessing a stock for investment, considering the recent performances that we just discussed?
When evaluating a stock for investment, investors should consider several factors. So first, look at the company's financial health, and of course this is including balance sheets, earnings, cash flows, and it still remains crucial to understand that the industry and the company it operates in and the competitive landscape. So then the assessing comes in, and the company's growth prospects, and recent news or events, and anything that could affect its operations, and of course the stock valuation. So these insights can actually help investors to make really informed decisions when purchasing these stocks.
Exactly. And speaking of news, is there where our investors can stay updated on what's happening in these companies? So do we have any specific sources, well aside from us, obviously?
Absolutely. And investors can actually keep themselves informed through various resources from companies that release regular reports, such as the annual and quarterly reports. Everyone has access to these, I do believe, and it's actually publicly available. And we have financial news outlets like this one itself, and stock exchanges, websites. You could visit our website as well, and our brokerage platforms also, and provide a wealth of information on financial markets. But additionally, for local insights into Ugandan companies, financial news publications and local experts can be really, really valuable sources of information, so you are not watching the wrong show.
Exactly. Now, Victor, that's actually great advice. But what's your take on the future of the Uganda Securities Exchange market? So do we have any insights, any trends, what we should watch out for?
Well, anything we should watch out for, and it's quite a tricky question, Gloria, because we're dealing with the future here. Anything could happen. But the future of any securities market is actually shaped by a combination of local and global factors. So in the case of Uganda, we're looking at economic growth, regulatory changes, and international market trends that play a role, that play a really, really vital role in this situation. But as with any investment, it still remains crucial to stay informed and conduct thorough research, and also be aware of potential risks and opportunities. And the future outlook can also be influenced by a wide range of factors, so staying well informed is really the best strategy.
Exactly, Victor. Thank you for those insights. But then looking at one of our top performers, looking at Bank of Baroda that had the most traded stocks, we all know that it's listed on the USE. This was on November 14th in 2002 and currently holds the 11th position in terms of market capitalization on the Uganda Securities Exchange, with a market capitalization obviously of around 225 billion billion Ugandan shillings, which makes approximately 1.41% of the total equity market on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Victor.
Well, that's an interesting position to be in, don't you think?
Exactly.
Actually, and now looking at the stock performance, it's actually trading at around 15 Ugandan shillings per share. But what caught our eye is the significant decrease it has seen from its price at the beginning of the year. So, Gloria, what is driving this decline?
Well, the current share price of Bank of Baroda is actually 15 Ugandan shillings. But it is important to note out that the stock has seen around 82.4% decline from the beginning of the year, and this was trading at around 85 Ugandan shillings. So obviously several factors could be contributing to this significant drop, including economic conditions, changes in the banking sector, or specific developments within the banking sector itself. So investors will likely to dive deeper into the company's financial statements and interests and discover more on the financial news of the company before actually investing.
Well, this is actually where in-depth research comes into play, and investors should dig deep to understand the reasons behind such drops. And speaking of which, actually, let's talk about the trading volumes. And Bank of Uganda has actually had a substantial trading volume in the recent times. And Gloria, what can high trading volumes indicate to our investors watching us today?
Well, like we said, high trading volumes like those we've seen from our Bank of Baroda recently often signal increased market activity and heightened interest in the stock by investors. So this could indicate that many investors are actually buying and selling Bank of Baroda shares. Such spikes in trading volumes can be influenced by various factors, including corporate announcements, earning releases, or market events. It's such an interesting observation, actually, that surrounds around further investigations.
Certainly. And as you mentioned, it remains important to delve deeper into the reasons behind these volumes. Now, let's touch on some of the financial metrics. And do we have information on Bank of Uganda's earnings per share?
Well, I'm afraid we don't have any specific data on Bank of Baroda's earnings per share, Victor, but all is dividend yield at the moment. However, these metrics are crucial for investors as they actually provide insights into the company's financial performance and the value of its shares. So for comprehensive analysis, investors should consult financial reports and the bank's investor relationships and materials.
Understandable, actually. And now for our viewers who might be wondering, what are some of the services and products that Bank of Uganda offers in Uganda? How does it actually contribute to the financial landscape?
Well, looking at Bank of Baroda Uganda, it actually provides a wide range of financial products and services in Uganda. Well, we are looking at savings and current accounts, custodial services, brokerage and investment advisory. So as a subsidiary of a prominent bank, actually, so it plays a vital role in facilitating financial transactions and investment opportunities in the country. It's actually an integral part of Uganda's financial landscape, offering banking solutions to individuals, businesses, and various investors.
Absolutely, and they have a really diverse set of offerings. Now, in terms of its place in the market, Bank of Baroda actually is the currently most traded stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange, and that has been over the past 3 months, which is from August 1st to November 2nd, 2023. And it has witnessed actually substantial trading activity with a total volume of 108 million shares valued at around 1.62 billion Ugandan shillings over this period. So on October 30th, Bank of Baroda actually recorded a particular high volume of 22.5 million shares traded.
Impressive figures for sure, Victor. Now, as we wrap up our segment in the Uganda Securities Exchange, I can't help but wonder what's your take on the future of Bank of Baroda and its role in Uganda's financial landscape?
Well, it's actually that's a tricky question because the banking sector is already a tight one, but we're seeing so many players, and there's a lot going on within the banking area alone, the banking sector in Uganda. All the reports of the missing funds and the liquidity and there's so many complaints. All eyes are actually on the banking sector as we speak. But the future of Bank of Uganda will likely be influenced by various factors. But we're looking at global and local economic landscape majorly, and the banking industry's evolution, as well as the bank's own strategic decisions. But it remains important for investors to stay informed and keep an eye on the bank's financial health, and also be aware of the economic trends. Bank of Baroda, Uganda's long history in the country and its affiliation with a major international bank certainly positions it to continue playing a really significant role in the Ugandan financial landscape.
Well said, Victor. So staying informed is actually a crucial point in the world of finance, and that brings us to the end of our discussion on Bank of Baroda and on the Uganda Securities Exchange. We hope this segment actually provided enough for our viewers out there. We'll be back shortly with more insights concerning the Nairobi Stock Exchange and the rest of Africa. Thank you.
Smart24, driving business.
It's the Premier League, all on DSTV. All the goals, clashes, and moments. All of Rashford, Salah, and Saka.
This start is getting better.
All in the language of your choice. All in HD. Available on all these bouquets to choose from. To watch on all these devices. Get DSTV with an HD decoder plus installation and 1 month family for 89,000 Ugandan shillings. It's the Premier League, all on DSTV.
People call me Koja Maraka.
Welcome to Love Uganda Limited.
Where we fix the hearts.
My wife, you'll see her head and you'll think, oh no.
Money have for real.
Luxury redefined at Seasand Hotel as you indulge in the splendor of elegant living fit for the royalty that you are. Step into comfort, pampering and blissful customer-centric service as you select from our range of comfy exquisite living quarters furnished to meet with your royal preference. Surrounded by scenic beauty, our tropical setting allows you to escape the glamorous ordeal of city life. Our ambient green gardens will guide you to a place of revitalizing rest. The 3-star restaurant caters to your palate, serving your choice menu ranging from exotic cuisines to local delicacies. Our chefs will serve you full-course meals for a truly out-of-this-world culinary experience. Our fully stocked bar to whet your throat, from renowned global brand whisks, brandies, gins, beers and wines to our locally celebrated beverages, you will not lack for any brew age. It's an all-new experience in the East at Seasand Hotel. So visit today at plot 15 to 19 Spire Road, Ginger, or contact us on +256 751 719 960 and +256 785 354 614 for reservations. Seasand Hotels, luxury redefined.
Cooking oil like no other makes your meal so sweet and scrumptious. The taste of Uganda, yeah, the taste of Uganda, the taste of Uganda.
bw'oyolekera ku lugendo luno olw'obulamu nkuwa ekirabo eky'amaanyi agatazizibwa amaanyi okulabibwa n'okuwulirwa mu mawanga ag'ewala ennyo okutuuka buli wamu nga yadde togenzeeyo ensi yonna ng'ekuli mu ngalo okutambula mu biseera n'okumanya buli kimu ekirina okumanyibwa Jovia kino kye kirabo kyange gy'oli
tewali kkomo ku ki ky'osobola okukola ku mukutu nnandameggwa ogwa MTN.
Smart24, driving business.
Welcome back from that short break, and this is the Financial Market Show with me, Nampija Gloria, together with
Victor.
And today we are having another exciting segment, actually, and we are looking at the Nairobi Securities Exchange to explore its market listing categories, recent trading activity, and its market indices. So, Victor, what do you have for us?
Well, the Nairobi Securities Exchange actually maintains 4 market listing categories. Now, just for context, each actually have their own unique focus and a purpose. So these categories are the main investment market segment and the alternative market segment, the alternative investment market segment, the fixed income securities market segment, and the growth enterprise market segment. But the first 3, created in 2001, actually cater to large and medium-sized companies, as well as corporate and government bonds. And the growth segment actually launched in 2013, and it is designed to provide small enterprises with access to the capital markets. And these categories actually play a crucial role in shaping the investment landscape in Kenya.
Exactly, and these categories also create a well-structured market accommodating a wide range of companies and securities. Now, taking a look at the recent trading activity on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, Victor, what could you tell us about the trading volume, the top gainers and top losers from our last trading session?
Well, in the previous trading session on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, a total of 3,528,500 shares were traded in 876 deals with a market value of 56,698,504 Kenyan shillings. So compared to the previous trading day, we're seeing a 45% decline in volume, a 40% decline in turnover, as well as a 6% decline in the number of deals. So it is essential to monitor these statistics and to gauge the level of market activity and investor sentiment.
Exactly. Now, monitoring trading volume and price movement is key to understanding the various market dynamics. Now, turning our attention to the top gainers and top losers, our top gainer in the last trading session was actually Longhorn Publishers. These actually saw a significant share price appreciation of 9.72%, closing at 2.37 Kenyan shillings per share. Then we have Uchumi Supermarket, which followed with a gain of 5.56%. And we also have the Nairobi Securities Exchange that performed in yesterday's trading session with around 4.68% share price appreciation. Then we also have Home Africa with 3.13% share price appreciation. So it's definitely important to note that the factors such as positive earning reports, corporate news, and market sentiment can actually drive these aspects and bring up these share price appreciations from the various companies.
Well, on the flip side, who were the losers for that session, and what contributed to their share price devaluation?
Well, the companies that saw their share price decline actually were Standard Group with an end of day share price depreciation of 9.71% Kenyan shillings per share, and this was actually 6.88%. So TPS East African Serena also followed with a decline of 6.64%. We also have Kenya Power and Lightning Company with 5.48% decrease, and we also have Elam Ferrari with experienced a decline of around 5.38%. So share price depreciation can be driven by various factors in a company, including disappointing financial results, changes in the market conditions, or company-specific developments.
Well, thank you for those insights, Gloria, and it is always interesting actually to see the interplay of factors that impact stock prices. But shifting our focus to the market indices, the Nairobi Securities Exchange All-Share Index declined by 1.10 points in the last trading session. Could you tell us more about the performance of this key index?
Certainly, Victor. The Nairobi All-Share Index, which is a benchmark index representing the performance of the overall securities on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, actually declined by 1.10 points, closing at around 87.03. So this actually represents a 1-week loss of 2.86%, a 4-week loss of 8.76%, and an overall year-to-date loss of 31.73%. It's actually important to note that the NASI, or the Nairobi Securities Exchange All-Share Index, reflects the overall market segment and a valuable indicator for investors looking out to monitor these various market indices and benchmark indices.
And of course, investors use these indices as a reference point for their investment decisions. So beyond the Nairobi Securities Exchange All-Share Index, there are other notable indices that we really need to keep an eye on, and we are seeing the Nairobi Securities Exchange 10-Share Index, which represents the performance of the 10 most highly capitalized stocks on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, and it declined by 1.45%, and that was in the last session. But similarly, the 20-Share Index that includes the 20 most capitalized stocks also experienced a 1.13% decrease, and the 25-Share Index, also comprising of the 25 most capitalized stocks, had a 1.42% decline. So these indices provide insights into the performance of different segments of the market.
Thank you for breaking that down, Victor. So these indices actually give investors comprehensive view of how these various segments of the market are faring. And as we wrap up our segment, could you tell us about the future of the NSE in your opinion, and what factors could be influencing its performance?
Just like the Uganda Securities Exchange, the Nairobi Securities Exchange as well is highly dependent on several global as well as local factors. But we're mainly focusing on international economic conditions, corporate earnings or corporate earning reports, as well as geopolitical events. And it's important for investors to keep a watchful eye on these developments. But furthermore, the performance of the market listing categories and the growth of the Kenyan economy, as well as the regulatory changes, will all play a role in the shaping of the Nairobi Securities Exchange's future. But investors should rather stay informed and, of course, conduct thorough research before making any investment decisions.
Interesting, Victor. So you mentioned that the NSE market listing categories are crucial for structuring the market. Could you elaborate on the specific types of companies that securities that each category creates for?
Well, they create it's quite a number. It's a mixed bag, and they've actually been it's a sense of helping investors to diversify their portfolio, but still keeping within the Nairobi Securities Exchange within its very reach. But these indices actually break it down to the 20, the 10, and the 25. But just coming back to that question, the main investment market segment actually in this case primarily focuses on larger companies and corporate and government bonds. But the alternative investment market segment is designed for smaller companies, while the fixed income segment it caters for a variety of bond issuers, and the growth enterprise market segment is aimed at giving small enterprises access to capital markets. But these categories help to ensure that different types of companies can find a suitable place in the market as well.
Thank you, Victor, for that insight. So in the recent trading session, what are some of the common factors that could have led to this share price appreciation of the top gainers? So do we have any trends or news that investors should be aware of, in your opinion?
Share price appreciation can be influenced by various factors. So we're looking at points like positive earnings, positive earning reports. We're looking at strategic business developments, or even market sentiment. But investors should always just keep an eye on corporate news and financial reports, and as well as market trends to just have a better understanding of forces driving these price movements.
Exactly. And on the flip side, when we talk about share price depreciation, or what could be leading to these various challenges or events that could have led to the share price depreciation in these companies, leading them to become the top losers on the trading session?
Well, share price depreciation can result from challenges such as disappointing financial results and changes in market conditions. And of course, in this particular point, we'd be focusing on interest rates rising, and also looking at specific company issues. But events like a major regulatory change or an unfavorable economic environment can also lead to share price declines, and it remains crucial for investors to diversify their portfolios in order to mitigate such risks.
Exactly. And with that NASI, or the Nairobi All Share Index, and the other key indices that we see showing losses, how could investors use this information to make more valuable investment decisions with strategies that could be employed in the market to navigate this?
Well, in this case, investors can use index performance, and it helps them to gauge market sentiment. But in a declining market, they might consider defensive strategies like investing in stable dividend-paying stocks or even bonds. But diversification is actually essential to spread risk, and additionally, investors should just stick to their long-term goals and not react impulsively to short-term market movements.
Interesting. And the future of the NSE is undoubtedly influenced by a range of factors. So could you highlight some of those factors? There could be international events or maybe economic trends that might ripple through the Kenyan market and in the country, leading to these various fluctuations.
International factors like global market trends, of course, are bound to affect the market all the way through. We're looking at geopolitical events like wars, anything that's relating to weather disasters or climatic changes. But with looking at the performance of major economies also can have a really significant impact on the market itself. But economic policies and trends in key trading partners can influence exports and currency change rates, like how we've been seeing the dollar behaving against the Kenyan shilling, and overall market sentiment as well. But investors should always keep an eye on global developments in order to anticipate potential effects.
Interesting, Victor. Now, looking at one of our top gainers, this is our Chumi supermarket. We'd like to give our viewers more facts about it. So when we're looking at our Uchumi supermarket, which is currently trading under the ticker symbol of UCMH on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, it operates a network of around 15 branches locally and is engaged in various aspects in terms of retail supermarkets in Nairobi.
Indeed, but Uchumi Market is also well known among Kenyan consumers, and its performance on the NSE has also caught our attention. But as the last trading session on November 2nd, 2023 was, Uchumi stock price actually was at 0.19. So Gloria, looking at this 0.19 Kenyan shillings, what's interesting is that it recorded a 5.56% gain over the previous closing price.
That's right, Victor. However, Uchumi's market actually began the year with a share price of 0.23 Kenyan shillings per share and has faced a decline of around 17.4% in its stock price, ranking it the 46th most traded stock on the Nairobi Securities Exchange in terms of year-to-date performance.
Well, just looking at the recent volatility in fluctuations in Uchumi's stock prices, just as we have been discussing in the previous stocks, it could obviously be due to various factors. But in this case, we're looking at this stock's performance always meeting one's eye, and investor sentiment, financial health, as well as industry dynamics can all play a significant role in the company's stock price.
Exactly, and the recent volatility and fluctuations in markets actually shows this. So it's actually crucial for investors to consider factors when making investment decisions. Now, talking about the trading volume of Uchumi's market, Victor, it actually traded a volume of around 2.08 million shares over the past 3 months, with an average of around 33,500 traded shares per session. What do you have to say about this one?
It remains important to mention that Uchumi Market is the 21st most traded stock on the Nairobi Securities Exchange already. So during this period, it actually just suggests that there's still substantial market interest in the company's shares.
Exactly, and it's fascinating to see how investors are actually engaging with Uchumi despite its challenges faced. Now, looking at its trading history, we can see that the stock has experienced both gains and losses in its recent trading sessions. On November 2nd, for instance, it registered a 5.56% gain.
Well, that is actually very, very true. But looking at this pattern where Uchumi's stock price has been quite volatile, experiencing both gains and losses. But on October 30th, it actually suffered a 10% loss, demonstrating the fluctuating nature of the stock market.
And we often see this kind of volatility in retail stocks, especially in the current economic environment. So it's just not about the economic company's performance, but also about these various external factors that could sway investors' decision and choices.
Very true, very true. But when we take a broader look at Uchumi's performance, we actually notice that it's seen a decline of 13.6 or 13.6% over the past 4 weeks and 17.4% over the past 3 months.
This is actually a long-term perspective that reveals a challenging trend for Uchumi's market trends. So it's certainly a stock that has experienced a turbulent journey in its recent months.
Indeed, but diving deeper into the retail sector, it's highly competitive. It's indeed a highly competitive industry. But the performance of companies like Uchumi is actually often influenced by factors such as consumer spending, competition, as well as supply chain challenges.
Absolutely, Victor. And given the impact of the global pandemic, the retail sector has undergone significant changes. So consumer behavior has obviously shifted, and retailers have had the ability to adapt to this one.
Yeah, and it is actually crucial, Gloria, that Uchumi is finding ways of mitigating all these risks and addressing these challenges effectively. That is, of course, to regain their investor confidence, and which remains a really, really solid strategy to navigate these market conditions.
Interesting enough, Victor. Then moving our attention to our Standard Group from the Nairobi Securities Exchange, that actually quite saw a decline and was one of our top losers as of yesterday. What do you have to say about this one?
Well, it remains a pleasure to actually talk about Standard Group. Their performance has been so eye-catching or worrying, but it remains worth talking about. But it is a media industry, and the media industry is already a dynamic one, as we have seen. But it is worth noting that Standard Group Limited has several subsidiaries, including the Standard Limited, Baraza Limited, and the Agency Sales and Promotion Limited, and KTN. Exactly, and Standard Group Limited is also listed on the Nairobi Securities Exchange under the ticker symbol SGL. And to understand the stock performance, we need to look at various indicators. So looking at November 2nd, 2023, the stock was priced at 6.88 Kenyan shillings. But what's interesting is that it recorded a significant gain, actually a significant drop of 9.71% from its previous closing price of 7.62 Kenyan shillings. That is a notable decline, and it actually places a Standard Group at the 57th position on the Nairobi Securities Exchange in terms of year-to-date performance. But the stock began the year with a share price of 10.45 Kenyan shillings and has since lost 34.2% of its value. That's quite a challenging performance, Victor, and it also suggests that investors might be concerned about the company's prospects. So it's also crucial to dive deeper and into the factors influencing this particular company's stock performance. Indeed, but when we look at the recent trading history of Standard Group, it actually becomes clear that it has been experiencing both gains and losses. And for example, on November 1st, we actually saw the stock rise by 9.08%. But on November 2nd, it experienced a drop of 9.71%. Interesting. The volatility in the stock price should be a reflection on the media industry's dynamics. So we all know media companies often face a wide range of factors that could impact their stock market's performance, including changes in advertising revenue. It could be competition and shifts in consumer demand when it comes to media performance. But looking at the media landscape, it is evolving every day and rapidly. But media companies need to adapt to digital platforms and changing consumer preferences, don't you think? Exactly. And in addition to these publishing businesses, Standard operates Kenya's Television Network Limited, or you could call it KTN. So television broadcasting is actually a very competitive field, and the success of a broadcasting company can depend on factors like quality content and viewership. So the media sector in Kenya is indeed competitive. So the media companies there need to be innovative in order to thrive in such an environment. So let's take a closer look at the trading volume of Standard, though. We can see here it has around 29,700 shares over the past 3 months, with an average of 471 traded shares per session, and this marks it around the 52nd most traded share on the NSE during this period. So obviously this is suggesting still there's interest actually in the Standard Group's stock, but despite the recent performance, investors are really proving to be actively buying and selling these shares. Interesting. So we'll be back from the short break and to discuss more on the rest of Africa concerning Johannesburg Stock Exchange and the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Thank you.
Smart24, driving business.
made up of over 80 islands, all located within